Dexter New Blood, episode 5, titled Runaway. And this episode might be, now this is how good this event series has been so far, that we have got given 5 episodes out of the collection of 10. And episode 5, which is of course the halfway point, was still with its ahs and oohs and us being invested with the characters and all those aspects of things, still might be the weakest episode of the show so far, and it's still good. It's still good. I'm still invested. I'm still invested with the story. I'm still invested of Dexter and him. I mean, here's the thing. Like, it's been kind of a subplot since, Harrison got introduced in season 4. But it's him struggling how to be a parent and the killer at the same time. But it's him retooling. And he's on his own. Harrison's not like a 4-year-old anymore. He is, about, 15, 16. He needs to learn and readjust at what type of parent he needs to be. And at the beginning, he just feels a little bit like, okay, I'll let Harrison be Harrison. Let him, I'm not going to be evading him a lot. I'm just going to let, basically, until he majorly fucks up, I'm just going to be in the shadows for him. But then, in this episode, Dexter basically does tough love, and Harrison is in a situation where it's like, I had spent most of my life without you. You don't need to go and parry on me. And because of it, he is guarded, and there's friction between the relationship, and it's just, you're like, oh, Dex. You as the audience, like, the thing about Dexter, if you really think about it, as an audience member, we do keep forgetting that he's a serial killer. We do keep forgetting that his hobby is killing people. All we see is a father trying to reconnect with his son. That's all we see, conveniently enough. And you're just like, oh dear, this is not going to go well. This is probably now when I dive into spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen the episode, go watch it, come back, and see you next week. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you've been warned. Harrison goes to a party, and he ODs. He goes to a party, teenage normalcy. He is the guest of honor because he's the hero of the town, and he takes a few drugs and ODs and unto him. So Dexter's very like shaken. He wants to know who's responsible, and he doesn't want to know who sold the drugs. He wants to know who made the drugs. And he is like, the weirdest thing about it, watching Dexter going for drug dealers this time as his victims, is you're like, this doesn't really fit the code. Normally you just go for killers, but what you have here is Dexter just being a parent in his own twisted way. And it's just that interesting side of Dexter. I mean, we saw it before in season 4, where he was kind of giving the talk to one of the neighbor's parents who abuses the child. But outside of that, we never really seen Dexter being this truly a detective parent. And it's like, okay, this is different. This feels personal, because it is personal, and you're like, okay, yeah. And the whole time watching it, I'm like, oh no. Yeah. And you know how last week we're like, Harrison seems like he has a dark past, and now he's saying he doesn't. And me as an audience, I'm like, you know what? I can't believe him, because I don't want this kid to see, Trinity Killer or Hannah or Rita around the corner and Harrison's ear about kill, kill, kill. I don't want that. I want this kid to be normal. But it doesn't really explain all the stuff that happened, last episode. But I still care for this kid, and this kid is going to a party, and he's getting slightly getting peer pressured, and he's like, yeah, fine, sure, fuck it. And I mean, he even, a girl says to him, hey, cover my leg, put H on my leg. And so he does it. And then she's like, it hurts. I'm like, of course it hurts. It's near the fucking leg. Of course it hurts. Anyway. Now, the stuff with Cliff is, it's interesting because what's interesting with the Cliff stuff, because spoiler alert, once again, he is the guy with his rifle who's been capturing these runaway girls and kind of treating them like their sport, like their piece of meat or whatever, and literally drain out their blood. So whatever the reason it is, he does that. But it's interesting to see these girls, the girls that he captured victim. We saw she's clawing off the walls, she's screaming and yelling and crying like, let me out, let me out. Well, this one is a teacher. She's a smarter. She is a bit of a, the goth personality, you may say. And she's trying to figure out, what does he want from me? Why am I captured here? Why is this? And she's doing these very smart things and very possibilities for survival. Hell, there's a scene where she does take off her top, but there's a narrative purpose to it. There's a narrative purpose because in her head she's like, it might be a sex thing. He has captured me for his pervy amusement, and so if he wants to see my tits, boom, here you go, dude. This is what you want to see. And we find out it's not. And he gets angry. He gets angry because of it. So clearly, we know it's not a sex thing because he gets initially. We know Cliff gets immediately angry when A, gets it wrong, when it doesn't go to plan, but 2, when people assume it's some pervy sex thing. And it's really interesting to know what his motivation, why he does what he does. If he is just effed in the head, if he is just literally fucked in the head and this is how he does it, or there's a narrative purpose towards it. Because, he kind of goes all Chucky when, he actually kills the girl and it doesn't go to plan. No. He kind of goes all Chucky a little bit. I'm like, no, it's a wrong. Why? And it just comes as it's just more depth, more interest. It's more, this villain's a very intriguing villain for our big bad as the other killer situation. I'm like, this is a really interesting way. Now, the thing about this episode is at the end, we find out some characters, and I knew it the moment Angel showed up. Which I was like, yay, Angel. But I was like, yeah, people are going to know. People are going to know. People are going to know that Jim Lindsay is not Jim Lindsay. Jim Lindsay is Dexter Morgan, and all the questions will come around. And I'm like, first, the podcaster, which I wouldn't lie, sometimes the podcasters the podcast character is a little bit too much. The moment she's starting to plug her podcast in a wrong situation, I'm like, I keep saying to myself, time and place, girl, time and place. And it's I'm like, this character sometimes is cool, but sometimes the character is a little bit too much and just becomes just very unlikable. And maybe that's the point, but it just comes across as too unlikable to the point you just want can you leave, please? Can you get off my show, please? But I do believe that people are going to find out that Dexter's alive. I wouldn't be shocked. Angel finds out that Dexter's alive, and it's going to open this whole floodgate of questions. Because the moment, the Miami people, from the previous 8 seasons find out, it's a whole drown suit. Because what you have, people are going to start asking questions like, why do you fake your death? Where's Deborah? Where's her body? And then people are going to find out that, Dexter's actually the Bayhar the Butcher. He's literally the Bayhar Butcher. And I'm thinking Dexter's going to get captured. He's going to get... I think it's going to be like Dexter on one for a couple of the last couple episodes. Because if things are going to get revealed, it's... The moment people find out that Jim is Dexter, it's going to open a floodgate of things, and that's going to be the most interesting part, because at this point, after the Max storyline, you're kind of curious where it's going, and until it hits a certain point, and now, you know, your title character is now revealed as that title character that we know him to be. It's going to be interesting how that gets resolved and how certain characters react.